that dude. Bet I see you from the top, yeah, real soon. Looking down on the haters that I've been through. Told them I'll see you later, yeah, big truth. I keep a real good pace. Built a big house, damn, look at that place. Up in my mind, cause that's my space. House so big, full of positive things. And I can't be shook, cause I ain't no rook, man, I wrote the book.
I want your stuff.
Welcome back. I don't know what that was, to another episode of the Monsters of the Gridiron podcast. Man, we lost a tough one yesterday, man. A lot to unpack from yesterday's game, and quite frankly, a lot to unpack from some of the players' comments from today and sound bites and things that they've been saying. So let's just get right into it with some introductions first. Will, how you feeling, baby?
Hey, I'm feeling good. I'm still just trying to overcome the emotions and the ups and downs. Three quarters of just abysmal offensive football, defense balled out, and then we finally got over the hump, and then to lose in the way that we lost is like words can't describe. So I'm still trying to just process everything that I saw yesterday from Northwest Field.
Yeah, man, it was tough, man. It was just a roller coaster ride from really low to really high, back to rock bottom again. So, but it's Bears football. We should be used to it by now.
Unfortunately, you're right, Walt, man, and that's how I felt about it. I was stuck on the couch for a little while, man, but I'm just like, man, I'm used to we too used to this, man, to the disappointment, man, and then it's like an emotional roller coaster being a Bears fans, man. We experienced so many highs and so many lows within the season, within the game, man, and it's just messed up because it shouldn't have to be that way. Yesterday was definitely a winnable game. I thought that I didn't see a special team in Washington. I thought that Jaden Daniels played well. Yeah, he showed that he was a tough quarterback, but I thought that was definitely a winnable game. And any game that we hold the team to 18 points, goddammit, we're supposed to win. That's how I feel personally. Like, man, we should be able to score 20 points as an offense. Man, that's 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. Like, that's the bare minimum we should be able to do on a weekly basis as an offense. But unfortunately, we weren't able to do that this week, man. And I think that's where we should start, man. Let's start with the offense, man. How you guys feel about the offense?
Look, I'm gonna be honest. Like, the offensive line, once again, it was abysmal. The play calling, like, I think it was 4th and 1. We threw it to DJ behind the line of scrimmage. The sack that Caleb took when I think we was about at the 30, he lost like 15 yards. It's like,
yep.
I know he was trying to make a play, but we was in field goal. It was like 9-0 at the time, so that would have made it 9-3. And you just look at the different situations in the game from an offensive perspective. We lost Braxton Jones, we lost Tevin Jenkins, and Bill Murray, he went out. So it's like when you just look at then when the offense, the first half was just abysmal. Like, Caleb was kind of anxious, I believe, starting out. But man, not being for us to have DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Swift, Roma Dunze, and Keenan Allen, and not take advantage of those matchups in a consistent, effective way, it's really disheartening because I think this is the 7th game where the first drive was just punt, run, kick, punt. It's been that way. Like, we just started slow, and I'm trying to figure out from a psychological perspective why the offense is taking so long to get off the bus.
Facts. What do you think, Walt?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Really, at this point, I'm kind of at a loss. I figured, and I think I said it to you guys too, after the second drive. They're like, well, this is our time. We're known to go 2 drives really, really bad, and we finally turn it up. But for some reason, it took the entire game this time. I don't know. I don't know if it's a, there's definitely partially, execution is to blame. Definitely the players are not playing at the tip-top shape. And you have to ask yourself, where does that come from? I mean, are the players just not playing hard enough, or is the coaching staff not training them properly? And I think we'll get into this probably a little later. I know you'll probably bring up what Cole Kmet said about
Yep.
practices today, where he was going on about it seems that some of the players were kind of laying off on practice. Now, if that's happening, then that is on your coaches.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I feel about the offense in general, man. I think it's an indictment on the coaches, man. We had 2 weeks to prepare for the Washington Commanders, man. This defense is not a great defense. But our offense still seems to lack identity, man. We still look disjointed to start games, man. The first quarter, we might as well not even just show up. We may as well just kick the ball right back to them every first quarter. Every possession, we may as well just kick the ball right back, because that's what's been happening in each and every game so far this season. Man, offensive linemen going down, like dropping like flies during this game. It was just a bad showing. We looked completely unprepared and completely outcoached. And it's sad to see and sad to say, because, like I said, we coming out of a bye. We had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. We riding a three-game winning streak. So, I mean, there's no reason for that. There's absolutely no reason for that. And it takes me back to something that I heard from Shane Waldron last week during his press conference, when he was asked about preparing for games and how do they prepare. And he almost sounded like they prepare for the games, or they prepare the game plan for the games in a defensive manner, to me, where they're almost trying to beat whatever the defense is good at, as opposed to forcing our will and imposing our will and seeing what plays we have that are going to work well against this team, in our game plan, and looking at guys or players on their team and say, hey, this guy is a little over aggressive. We're going to use his aggression against him. We're going to hit him with some double moves and shit like that, man. I don't understand how we're game planning for these teams. There's no reason that DeAndre Swift should not have been a focal point until the second half of the game, man. Like, we have to get off the bus running. Like, that's number one. You're a Chicago football team. That's our identity right there. Yep. That's what we always start. That's what we've always been, man.
And guess what? That's a rookie quarterback's best friend, an effective run game.
Best fucking friend, man. Best fucking friend. And Caleb, man, naturally, I know that he said that he doesn't get nervous, but naturally, man, your nerves are going to run high at some point, man. When you're going back home, you got all this family and friends in the stands, man. It's a lot of pressure on him, man. He just didn't look like Caleb Williams to me yesterday. He didn't look prepared. He looked a little bit, he wasn't poised. He wasn't his poised self. And I was waiting for it to just turn on and turn on and turn on. And we were in the group chat, and I'm like, well, he's making mistakes out here. The offensive line is, of course, not helping him. The play callers, of course, not helping him. But there were some plays that he left on the field as well. But I feel like in the fourth quarter, he was able to turn it on. And that was the encouraging part from the offense, is that we do have a good quarterback. We have a quarterback. And that's it, man. That's a known thing. Like, the way that he was able to turn it on, not for one drive, but for 2 drives, when his play caller did the dumbest thing in the world, when hands it off to an offensive lineman at the 1 yard line when we're down 6 points, trying to get back in the game, down 5 points, and we try to get the lead in the game. But Caleb doesn't waver. The turnover occurs. Defense gets the stop. He comes back, marches it back down again. So that's very encouraging to me, as for Caleb Williams, to see him being able to do that, man. And so that's the one good thing I think that came from the offense. And of course, we saw DeAndre Swift have a damn good game. I don't think that they utilized him enough in that game. And I thought Rome Odunze had a damn good game too, man. He made a lot of nice third down catches.
Yeah, no, you can definitely see the camaraderie kind of forming with Rome and Caleb. now, a lot more than he did at the beginning of the season. He's becoming almost like that safety blanket that Cole Kmet was for Justin Fields last year. But it was interesting because you're right. They only ran Swift about 18 times the whole game. He ended up at over 100 yards, but over 50 of that were on that one touchdown run.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb ran more than he has this season. He was running 10 times. The offensive line let up a 50% pressures on the dropbacks. It's like 51 and change. So I don't know what happened between last week and this week, but they have to sit down and they have to remedy it, right?
Absolutely.
And even in the bye week, we talked about this yesterday. They came out flat again, just like last year. They came out flat last year. And
the year before.
it's the repeat offenses over and over and over again. On these bye weeks, I understand that the NFL has rules on practices and what they can and they can't do, but you can always be in the weight room. You can be training, conditioning yourself. You can also be in the classroom learning and just studying, because that's what these guys have to do. You're getting paid millions of dollars to throw a ball at the end of the day. I think we tend to forget that they're making more money in 1 year than most of us will see in our entire lifetimes. And
and those the NFLPA rules don't apply to coaches. Coaches can still fucking prepare. Like that's not a vacation for you as a coach, man. I mean, you take your time off. You can take some time off during the day, but man, you should be preparing for that next opponent, especially riding a 3-game winning streak. There's no reason for us to come out flat in this game, man. When we are able to script that first 15, what happened to that? What happened to the script that we were talking about the past couple games that was working for the offense a little bit? Getting them going a little bit, at least after the first drive. Like we didn't see that. We didn't see any of that until the fourth quarter, man. And it's like I said, man, it's sad to see. And the other thing that kind of pissed me off was Kieran Amagaji had to come into the game, and he looked completely unprepared to play in this game mentally. And I'm thinking about mentally. Physically, I see like he is a big dude, big strong dude. I've seen him absorb a bull rush a couple times, but the fact that he didn't know who to block, that's a problem for me, man. That's a problem for me. Like, come on, dog. You got to be focused. And if you guys are going to decide that he's going to be the swing tackle of that game, it's on the offensive line coach to say that's the decision of the offensive line coach. Now, the coaches go to you and say, is he going to be ready? And you say, yes, he's going to be ready. It's on you as an offensive line coach to make sure that he's mentally fucking prepared for this game. That if he has to go into this game, he's not going to be a liability. And he was, man. He had Caleb running for his life immediately. And Washington saw it right away. And they just started sending 2 men at him in each gap and say, hey, we're going to let you figure it out. And we didn't figure it out as an offense. Our offensive coordinator didn't even help him out by putting the tight end over there or sending a running back over there to chip, man. So it was just like, man, it's like a comedy of errors at that point when he came in, and it finally settled down a little bit in the fourth quarter. I was glad to see, but man, that just pissed me off a lot too.
Yeah, no, you're right. Definitely, he came out of the gate shaky, to say the least. He missed the entire training camp. This is his first real action. He was in on some kneel downs and maybe some special teams, but you have to get over like that ball of nerves that you have. You're gonna be wound pretty tight coming onto the field, and he was. We saw that. Everyone saw it. But like you said, physically and technique wise, definitely an upgrade over Braxton Jones in certain situations. You saw he can anchor against the bull rush fairly well, even if it was the wrong guy. So you have to take the little things, with young kids like this. I mean, it was always pretty well known that Karan was pretty rough around the edges. It was going to take a little time to get acclimated to the NFL. We all knew this. So it's just, I mean, it looks like Braxton isn't hurt too bad. They're saying week to week as of this morning. We'll probably know more as it goes on. But, I think the kid deserves another shot this weekend in Arizona. And I think we'll see a progression, like we saw a progression with Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze with Karan too.
Shout
What's
out to
up?
Don Bird.
What's up, Don Burr?
Hey,
What
we're
he
gonna
say?
feed you. We're gonna feed you that same pie. We're gonna feed you this same pie in a couple of weeks, Don. Get ready.
What he
Get
say?
ready. You're gonna taste this humble pie. He said we over here we on here eating our humble pie right now. But I told him we're gonna make sure we feed him and his Lions some of this next week in a few weeks from now. So get ready. Detroit versus everybody. Yeah, get ready, Don. We'll be ready by then.
Yeah, shout out to Don Burr for stopping in. Relentless Mikey's always here. Jay Grizz, Nodge, Jigsaw, the whole gang. So glad to
Yeah.
see you all here tonight. Very quickly, Mikey asked a question earlier on. I want to get to that before we keep going. He goes, how much confidence do you have that this team will be competitive in the division at this point?
Go ahead, Will.
Hey, if the trenches aren't, and I'm just watching the trade deadline to see what we do in the trenches. Skill position wise, if you get Caleb time, I think he could pick the Vikings, Lions, and Packers apart. But if that line isn't solidified, and if we don't get at least one more pass rusher, because again, all three of those teams, they have good offensive line play, and they can pass the ball very well. If we can't get pressure on the quarterback, then if we go 3-3 in division play, that'll be a win-win for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think that if we can go 3-3 in this division, then that is absolutely a win. I think if we can get to 6 wins before that, and we get the win in before our first division game in Green Bay, and we get a win in Seattle, and that gives us 7, and we win 3 division games, that'll give us 10 wins and get us into the playoffs. That's what that's the goal right now for me. That's the path to the playoffs that I see. But we have to be prepared for these games physically for our offensive line. And polls before this game spoke with ESPN 1000, and he stated that he is going to be active. He's been actively calling teams to check availability of some guys, man. So hopefully we get some help on the offensive line and on the defensive line as well, frankly, because when we get to the defense, the defensive line isn't playing too great on their own right now. And that's the problem. They need some help. They need some help as well. We thought that we would get a lot of help back from Jacob Martin this week, but I think they needed their player weight on that defensive line for that defensive line to be solidified, maybe 2 players, to be honest. But, man, we'll get to the defense in a second. But, yeah, I think we can be competitive in this division. I just want to try to get into the playoffs however we can. If we don't win the division, I'm fine with that. I do feel like Green Bay is better than us right now. I do feel like the Lions are better than us right now. But I do feel like we can beat both of those teams. Both of those teams are beatable. We talked about Minnesota. They hit the ground running this year, but they've been on a decline each week. So I feel like, that's probably a team we could beat twice as long as we can, identify the blitz with our offensive line, and, Caleb can get the ball out of his hands quickly. So we'll see what happens, man. And like I said, and this is the beauty of this schedule to me, that, we have these games. A lot of people didn't like these games were at the end of the year. I think this is allowing us to get things in order, and know exactly where we need to fix before we have to face our division opponents while getting a bunch of wins under our belt. Because we should have 6 wins, man. These next 2 games are winnable games. We have to have these 2 wins against Arizona and New England.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I mean, the New England game should, in all aspects of it, be a gimme win, right? They're not a good football team right now. Arizona's kind of streaky. You don't really know what you're going to get with them. They could either be really good or they could be really bad. But it doesn't really seem like it's a talent issue on the Bears right now. They definitely have a talented roster, so I'll give them that. We'll go into the defense quickly, and then we'll jump on to Matt Eberflus. I mean, the defense overall played a fairly decent game. They held Washington to 12 points, 4 field goals. Jaden Daniels didn't get the touchdown until the Hail Mary, which we'll look at later. Both quarterbacks weren't superb. Let's put it that way. Like Jane Daniels threw over 300 yards, but did you really get anything out of it? No.
I didn't even see it. I didn't even know it until I checked the box scores at the end of the game. I'm like, he had 300 yards, and that last play was just 52 yards. So I'm like, he had 270 yards, and I just didn't see it happening. I guess I know that they were making drives and we were stopping them, but man, it just didn't. I didn't feel it. I guess that he had a great game, but he had a good game, and he was making plays when he needed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, Jane Daniels is a good kid, right? He's definitely going to go far in the league. I think all three quarterbacks that were taken early on in this draft have a chance to be really, really good. You know, this 1 year isn't going to be the end all be all for either one, any of those guys, right? And I think some people forget that. I think it's like, oh, well, whoever wins rookie of the year, it's over. We're not going to worry about the other 10, 12 years, however long they're in the NFL, right? Because things can change in a dime. So 1 year you could be really good, next year you could be really, really bad.
Yeah.
Will, I think you were saying they got to get a couple pass rushes. Yeah, I think I have to agree with you on that one. They brought in Daryl Taylor, who's been pretty good overall, but he's not like that big guy I can count on every single down. He's not a three down character.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He has his place. Everyone has their place, but you have
Yep.
one real, 1 to 3 kind of guy, and that's Montez Sweat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. DeMarcus Walker is not a 3 down guy. Right. And the funny thing is, if you really look at the pass rush stats across the the line there, he's actually played the most out of anyone else.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I don't know.
And I like DeMarcus Walker because he's a Florida State guy, but unfortunately, he's not moving the needle from the defensive end position. So, it's a must. And then I'm looking at for next year. I know preseason it was like the hype was the edge end was the best position in college, but a lot of those guys have underwhelmed. So it's like if you can go get a Myles Garrett or a Mason Crosby, like look, you got to make that phone call, guys, because we're too close to not. To me, this year is year 3. We got to make the playoffs, guys. Anything less than the playoffs to me is a disappointment. So you got to make that call to get an edge. I think the line with repetition and continuity will be okay. And if we pound the rock like Samo was saying earlier, against a lot of the defenses we playing, we should wear them down. So play action, get Caleb out on some naked boots, some rollouts, some sprint out. Start using his athleticism.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's part of the identity we need to develop. I agree with everything you're saying, man, and get under center a lot more, man, because we're in shotgun way too much in this past game for some reason. But as far as the defense goes, like you said, man, I like DeMarcus Walker as a run stopper, man, but he's not an every down defensive end, man. He's not a guy who generates a lot of pressure. He doesn't have the athleticism to bend the edge. He's not beating one-on-ones. Like, he's just not a really good defensive end edge rusher. He's not a really good edge rusher. He's a good defensive end, I'll say that. But he's not a good edge rusher. He's not as good as Daryl Taylor, who we've gotten. I thought that Jacob Martin, he had some pressures in this game, but I didn't see anything special from him either. So we definitely need to be aggressive, I think, during this trade. Before this trade deadline, man. And if there's a guy that's available, if anything, we need to get him before the Detroit Lions do. There's some guys that are going to be available that we don't want the Detroit Lions to get, man. We don't want to face Detroit Lions with Aiden Hutchinson and another formidable pass rusher. So, if there's someone available, I'm hoping that Flus is aggressive and he goes after it, man, because as Will stated, man, these edge rushers in college this year have underwhelmed. They're starting to pick it up a little bit over the past couple of weeks, but it's not the class that I think that everyone thought it was going to be. But so which means there's going to have to be a lot of evaluation to determine which guy is going to be a good fit for our system and which guy is going to be able to peak immediately too, because we also can't depend on a rookie to come in and peak right away and just start getting sacks. So I don't want to depend on that either. So if there's an opportunity to go get someone posed, go do your thing, baby. But as far as the defense goes in this game, man, I thought the defense played their ass off, man. Holding in Washington has the best red zone offense in the league. We held them to field goal after field goal after field goal throughout the game. Like, man, you can't ask anything more from a defense, man. That last play, that was a bonehead play. The last two plays, I'll say that. Those last two plays, I'm going to chalk those both up to coaching. I know Tyreek Stevenson has gotten taken a lot of heat. I'm pissed at him too. I know everybody in the chat is. Everyone who's watching this right now, we're pissed at Tyreek. But, man, I'm going to put that on coaching, man. What is the coach looking at that he didn't see Tyreek's back turned and him running down the field before the ball is snapping? Why was he not there to call a time? Why don't you call a timeout before that play anyhow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think we're just going to jump right into it. And, that's why I put it on the title of the thumbnail here today is what was Matt Eberflus thinking, right? Not just on the Hail Mary play, but that whole entire drive, the final drive from the kickoff to the heartbreaking end of it all. What was going on in his head, right? So I don't know. And it's not like this is the first time we've seen this happen. It's nothing new. The problem with Matt Eberflus is when things really need to be done and those big games come up and you're in those big time moments, what separates a good coach from a bad coach is situations like this. You need to know every single nuance of your team to a T, because at the end of the day, it's your team. Whether you chalk something up to player misexecution or whatever, the sword falls on your neck at the end of the day. All right.
Exactly.
So, and it was interesting because one of his tenets is the hits principle, and players need to take accountability for themselves and all that. But when you watch him, especially last night during the presser and today during the Zoom calls, you didn't see that from Matt Eberflus. It was, well, Tyreek Stevenson should have been covering Noah Brown. TJ Edwards was the spy on the running back. I don't even know why he's there. He didn't do anything. You might as well just left him off the field. There's questions on. I mean, I understand Montez Sweat was hurt, so he wasn't on the field for that final play. And then they came to the questions on the play before, the 13-yard route to Scary Terry, and what basically set up the Hail Mary attempt. And I forget who said in the chat here I had it starred, but the offense gave you a lead. As bad as it was yesterday, at the end of the day, it did its job. You were up 15-12 with 25 seconds left in the fourth quarter. You had something like a 98% win chance at that point. I may be off a percentage here or there, but it was to the point where you shouldn't lose this game. And we've been in the situation before, and we got to watch Eberflus again flush another victory down the toilet. And when you ask him, so what about this last play? Like, what was your thought? Well, it's not important, or it doesn't matter. I don't even know what you mean by that. And that's why Mike Greenberg on ESPN came out and said it's one of the 5 dumbest things I've heard a human being say in my entire life. And it is.
Yeah, it proves that he didn't understand the situation. He doesn't understand situation in football. He doesn't. I don't know if he's never been in that situation, but he definitely didn't understand what that extra 13 yards did in allowing Jaden Daniels the opportunity to throw the Hail Mary, because he was 2 yards shy from right there, even throwing it from there, from where he did throw it. So if he would have been 13 yards back, the ball would have been another 13 yards shy of the goal line, which would have allowed our players the opportunity to bat the ball down or to tackle, allow them to catch and tackle, which would have made it much easier for the defense, who was playing in back of prevent, all of our DBs at that point in time. I don't know why he doesn't understand that, man. And he doubled down today. I know he said it yesterday. It didn't matter. But to double down today, it's just like, come on, man. Like, are you just messing with us right now? Like, if you just don't want to take accountability for your mistakes or your coaching staff's mistakes, or is it just that you just don't get it? So, right, either way, like, I'm done with Matt Eberflus.
Mm-hmm. And also, Damian Woody on ESPN this morning had a very interesting take on the play too. So I have it here. I'll bring it up for you guys.
I can't believe he said that. Like, I'm still stunned that he actually said that, because that play resulted in Washington having the opportunity to throw the Hail Mary. The only place they could throw that ball was on the left hash. They threw to the boundary because of the time. You gotta save the time. And so you didn't even protect the boundary. Washington has no timeouts. If the quarterback runs or someone catches the ball in the field of play, guess what it is? Game's over.
Game over.
Yep.
Yeah. And, they also made a very good comment on there too, talking about watching Eberflus on the sideline, and Caleb Williams too, for that matter. And you see Caleb Williams walk up telling guys, come back. And finally Eberflus, it connects upstairs that, I made a mistake. And by then it's just too late.
But guess what? It wasn't too late. Well, that's the thing. It wasn't too late, because all Eberflus has to do was this. Timeout. You're right. Hey, you know what? Rookie quarterback, you're right. I'm the defensive coordinator, but you're right. We should be moved up to try to protect the sidelines in this situation. At this point, the rookie quarterback knew what to do more than our head coach, star defensive coordinator. Which is sad to me, man. That was just, I'm just at a loss of words, man. It's just really disheartening for us to lose a game in that manner, and for us to lose a game in that manner, 3 games in that manner last year, because we allowed the Lions to come back from 12 points in 4 minutes. We put a defensive tackle out on the tight end. We forced him to drop out on the tight end and lose that game. What was the other game we lost last year?
Cleveland.
The Broncos.
The Broncos. We allowed them to come back in the game because we played soft coverage. We allowed them to come back in the game. So, those are defensive mistakes that are causing us to lose games, and we have a defensive-minded head coach. Those 3 games last year could have possibly sent us to the playoffs. Losing this game this year may prevent us from going to the playoffs, because we have a tough road ahead, man. So, this shit matters, man. For everyone who says, like, I don't think Eberflus should go anywhere. I think he's doing a good job, and it's the offensive line, and this and this that. No, it's not just the offensive line. It's not just the offensive problems that are causing us to lose this game. The offense stepped it up when they needed to at the end of the game. The defense was supposed to end this game, and our head coach was supposed to manage the clock at the end of this game, and he failed to do that. That's like he did in 3 games last year. We can't keep losing games at the end of games because of poor coaching.
Yeah, because Adam Hogue actually made a decent breakdown of his notes on the last 2 plays, Matt Eberflus, and they questioned him again about the 13-yard play to Terry. And even after watching the tape, he still clung on to this idea by saying that if they protected the sideline, they would have converted to a Hail Mary. Now, they snapped the ball on their own 35. Now, Jaden Daniels has a great arm, don't get me wrong. But if you listen to Chase Daniels, too, he said there's no quarterback in the NFL right now that's going to throw the ball 80 yards.
No.
It's just not there.
Nope. Yeah, man. I don't know why he doesn't get that, man. Like I said, I think he just doesn't want to take accountability in public, which is also a problem for me, because this is the same thing we saw last year. And as we stated, now it's seeming like there's a little mutiny starting to occur in Hallis Hall, because we heard some comments from DJ Moore this morning on 670 The Score, where he was extremely critical of the call to rush the fullback offensive lineman on the play after he just put his body on the line to get the team down there. He comes out of the medical tent, he says, that he didn't know what was going on, how how the other team ended up with the ball. He was just like, what the hell happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then he finds out what happened. And he's like, why would we run that play in that situation? He says, yes, we practiced that play, but he never would have thought that they would run that play, and especially not in that situation, which you don't do, man. That's just idiotic. And as a head coach, if you hear that happening, you have the ultimate veto power to say, hey, you know what? Whoa. No, let's just, let's not get cute. Let's just get the ball in the end zone.
Exactly. I mean, because don't get me wrong, I love Doug Kramer. He's done a lot for the team this year. He's playing guard yesterday too, so that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
But in that situation, if you haven't done it in a live game, why on earth are you going to try it with the game on the line? Your offense has been struggling most of the day. You're finally getting momentum going, and you have a really, really good short yardage back in Roshan Johnson. And Doug Kramer has shown he can block in that situation for the running back very well. So just have him go straight into the gap, and your running back falls right behind him. That's an easy 6 points right there.
Easy 6 points, man. Easy 6 points. What do you think about it, Will? Well, you were there. Will was at the game, guys. So
Yeah.
I think he's still a little hungover from the game. He's still a little disappointed right now.
I'm like, bro, like I don't know, like for us to be able to see that in that situation, you got Roshan. Like you put, if you want to put Roshan behind Kramer, go right ahead and look, let him get in the eye, go straight ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like, let Roshan do his thing. Like you can't get a ball or run play action. Like that's something I noticed we don't do either. Like on the goal line, run play action, leak out Mercedes Lewis, use Caleb's athleticism. Like I just don't understand the thought process. You trying to get cute. The Colts game and not this game, those are two games we should have won. If it like on that 4th and 1, the option, like what are we doing, bro?
Absolutely.
Like what are we like, bro? The Commanders defense, they aren't world beaters, but you made them look like it.
Mm-hmm.
You made them look like it because of poor personnel, poor game planning, poor play calling. Like I would rather you run a fade route with Keenan Allen or Roma Dunze. Like you did in London. I don't know. I'm blown away because things to us that seem like common sense. It's not common sense, guys. Like at this point, I really don't know what can be done because this is the easier part of the schedule. And I'm like, if we go 6-1 or 7-1, 8-1 into the Packers game, which is at Soldier Field, man, look, we got all the momentum.
Yep.
How do you blow that? Like we were in the ultimate position. How do you blow that?
Hey, poor coaching. That's how you blow it. Poor coaching decisions. I agree with everything Will said there. And it sucks for Doug Kramer too, man, because he's now apologizing to everyone and he's, saying that it was his fault. But I don't even blame him, man. You're not a fullback. You're not supposed to be carrying the ball at that point in time. You were supposed to be carrying the ball if we had a 20-point lead. Then you look good. When we're messing around, when we're trying to stump on the Lions a little bit more. That's when you get the ball, when we're up 20. Not at that situation, man, where we're trying to get the first lead of the game, in the fourth quarter with the clock running down, man. It was just, man, I'm just at a loss for words for that, man. That's just idiotic, man. That's just shit that you don't see other teams do and shit that we continuously see our team do. Not only this year, but the years before. And it's just sad to see. This is the equivalent of, Cole Kmet getting under center, running from outside and getting under center and trying to sneak it in and all this dumb shit that we've been doing for the past few years. So, hey, hopefully, they take that play, they ball that shit up and burn it. I'll never want to see Doug Kramer attempt to touch the ball again. Like, it's over with.
Yeah.
Secondly, Go
especially
ahead.
after you just got rid of your fullback, Gary Blaskin. You just let him go. You weren't even using him. Now you're using an offensive line as a fullback. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yep. Yep. Hey, that's
Mhm.
the decision making of this coaching staff. But
Mhm.
another player spoke out today, and that was Cole Kmet, who spoke about players locking in and players not being focused in practice. And he's saying that it's been an issue. This is the first time we're hearing about it. But when you lose games like this, and Cole's saying that players need to respect the game, and that's why we lose games like this, because of what's happening in practice from Monday to Friday. So, what do you guys feel about that?
Hey, the proof is in the pudding. You like Stevie Wonder can, see for the most part who you talking about. Like, when you got antics going on and pressure cooker situations, and you horse playing around when you need to be locked in for 60 minutes. So you can look and tell who he really talking to in the grand scheme of things. So it's like,
Yep.
again, that's a culture problem. That's discipline. That's coaching.
It's coaching.
That's coaching. So at the end of the day, like, the coach got to tighten up all 53 on the squad. I don't want to hear nothing about no his principle moving forward. You know what I'm saying? I want to see execution. I'm talking about for 60 minutes, bro. 60 minutes where, like, by us seeing Khalil Herbert being inactive, like, we can read between. That's a healthy scratch. Like you can read between the. Like, we put up 40 points on these guys last year. Tell me where they got better on defense. The same defense.
Yep.
Where they get better at? We
No,
put
they
up
got
40
worse
on them.
actually. They got worse actually because they didn't have all the players that they had last year. They didn't have that big defensive tackle and Jonathan Allen in the middle.
No, he on injured
So,
reserve with a torn pec. So I'm like, they didn't have Sweat. They didn't have Chase Young. Think about it.
yep,
They had
yep,
Sweat when we played them last year.
sure did.
So
And
I'm sitting up
Chase
here
Young.
like, we put up 40 on that, which was a better defense, and we barely put up 15 on a bunch of scrubs yesterday. And on paper, it wasn't even close. So that's
Yep.
why I'm like, at this point, I don't want to hear no excuses. Like I'm gonna be honest. Some seats starting to get warm. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Some seats
Yep.
are starting to get warm, and it's time for accountability, guys. It really is, because this is a production based business, and you can't keep losing. Man, the road record is just horrific, but you can't keep losing a subpar team that, like the Colts, we should have beat them, and the Commanders, we should have beat. Like, that should have been a 10-point victory yesterday. We left 10 points on the field. That Hail Mary wouldn't have meant
Easy.
shit.
Yep. Absolutely right. What do you think about it? Well,
Yeah, I mean, I can't dispute it in any way. All I can say is that when you have a lead, you have a lead, whether it's 1 point, 100 points, 1,000 points. Right? Your job is to hold that lead, no matter how big or how small. And for a guy that comes out and says, I'm a defensive first head coach, I've done this, that, and the next thing. And then you repeatedly blow leads, big leads too. You're up 20. You're up with 20 points in Denver. That's gone. You're up 14 points, 12 points here. Gone, gone, gone every time. And
yep.
you can't get it done on the road. And it's
And
not that you're just making it up. It's simple fact. You can look at the stats right there and be like, hey, we've won 8 games in a row in Soldier Field. We've won 0 games this year outside of Chicago.
and only 3 games in your career outside of Chicago, and your 3-year career as a head coach. So that's also an indictment. I don't care how bad our teams are. We saw Cleveland beat the Ravens yesterday. So, you're supposed to be able to beat bad teams beat good teams all the time. And it's about the heart and the coaching that those teams are receiving, man. And we just don't get that and get put in those situations. But I believe in everything Cole Kmet was saying, man. It showed on the field. And it's an indictment on coaching again. Like, because you're only gonna do the shit that your coach allows, man. I've been on teams where coaches allowed us to fuck around in practice, and it showed up. We got our ass kicked in games on Saturdays or Fridays, you know. And then I've been on teams where the coach was really strict. You know, we didn't have a lot of penalties. We probably didn't win a lot of games, but we were competitive in those games. And then we did win some games too, because we were competitive in those games, and we were remaining disciplined in those games, and we were executing what we was the game plan and executing the play as it was supposed to be executed. You know, players were locked into their assignments, and that's what we don't see from the Bears right now. Guys aren't locked in, man, and guys are not executing their assignments on every single play. And that's extremely important on offense, because everything has to work in rhythm. You know, the offensive line has to block. You have to not only block, you have to block the right guys. You know, identify and block the right guys before the play even starts. You know, you have to snap the ball correctly to the quarterback. Like, these are things that this is execution, simple execution that has to happen, man. And it's just not fucking happening on every play. We see it on offense. We see lapses on offense, and we see lapses on defense as well. But again, another indictment on coaching. And I'm glad that Cole Kmet came out and said that. Jalen Johnson actually doubled down on that. When he spoke on 670 The Score this evening, he said that Cole never lied. He said guys have to lock in, and they can't move on from plays in practice that don't work when guys aren't locked in. He's saying that what's happening is, you know, there's poor execution on the play, and they're just going to the next play as opposed to correcting the issues and making sure, hey, you know, you're supposed to do this, this, and that, and making sure the guys who are the backups are also locked in and not over here fucking around, laughing and joking, to know, because at any point in time, any of these offensive linemen can jump in the game. So that's not happening, man. Coaches aren't holding the players accountable in practice, and it's showing on the football field on Sundays. We thinking we fucking arrived because we won 3 games. Act like we've been there, guys. We ain't done shit. We won 3 games in a row against bad teams. Until we make it to the playoffs, until we beat a good team, we ain't done shit. So we got to step it up, man. We got to step it up. And that's on coaching. That's on coaching, because you're only going to do the shit that your coach allows you to do.
Facts.
So the last person, again, was Jalen Johnson, who also spoke out unsolicited. He said that he felt that they were rushed on that last play. It was a lot of confusion. It was a lot of rushing. He was like, he's screaming to the other side, to Jermaine Edmonds, who are we going to double team? And he was like, he felt like they should have called a timeout in that situation. Now, they didn't solicit this answer from him. This was his comment, point blank. This is what he came out and said it. And we've all said it, the same thing. But if your players are also saying this, like, why don't you get it as a coach? Like, you have to settle everyone down. If you call a timeout in that situation, guess what? Tyreek is not running on the sidelines screaming at the fans and shit. Everyone knows their assignment. Everyone gets a breather. Everyone is told, hey, remain disciplined. Players can look at each other in the eyes and say, hey, let's not fuck this up. You know, we can hold each other accountable. But when we're all rushed to the line of scrimmage, and you can decide what's a better play too, because to have TJ Edwards just fucking lingering in the middle of the field, what was that about? Like, that was the dumbest shit in the world, man. I want Jalen to run. I want him to run. I want him to throw it to the running back. Why are we defending a running back 52 yards from the end zone? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, come on, man. That was just, these are brain farts by Coach Eberflus, man, and he has to get his head out of his ass and get his shit together, man, because that was just a terrible sequence of events. And we didn't even talk about him holding the red flag when it was clearly a drop ball by Scary Terry, and we allowed him to rush up to the line of scrimmage and snap the ball before we throw out the red flag. He's waiting for someone to tell him, oh yeah, he didn't catch it. Don't fucking wait. You got 3 timeouts in your pocket. You don't go home with them. You don't get to use them the next week. You don't go home with them. You don't get a bonus for them. They don't pay. You don't get a payout for that. Like, come on, I don't understand what Flus is doing, man. Use the timeouts. Coach your team. You know what time? That's what timeouts are for you to coach your team. And guess what? Our team. That's what the problem is with our team. They're not well coached, and that he doesn't understand what to use timeouts for. So he's operating like a defensive coordinator, like a bad defensive coordinator at that, and not like a head coach who's trying to coach his players in situational football within the game to close the game out. And that was just sad to see.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson's 100% correct, and it's not even just the players. Like, everyone's seeing it. You saw it on both plays. The Hail Mary and the play before, where guys are lining up, they're just talking to each other. They had 3 guys just sitting in the middle of the field trying to converse and figure out who's going where. We saw. I mean, I understand Tyreek was off John with the fans and all that. So that's on him. But as a coach, you're on the sideline. You got to see that, like, your guys are not ready. And if your guys are not ready, then you call the timeout. Because, like you said, it's not like they're going to give you a bonus for keeping those timeouts. They're just going to disappear. You can't take them with you.
Can't take them with you, man. And you want your defensive lineman to get a breather so that they can get a good rush. And maybe we stuck these guys. They can come up with a pass rush plan, especially if we're only going to rush 3 guys. A lot of those guys to decide what they're going to do. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to come around you. I'm going to drag these 2 and come around you. And then I'll make sure I try to keep them. Like, man, allow those conversations to happen in the timeout. Allow us to catch our breaths. Allow us to hold each other accountable and decide our assignments. Like, that's what those timeouts are for, Flus, if you didn't know. So hopefully someone taps him on the shoulder, or hopefully gets a call from Nick Saban or something and tell him, like, hey, you had 3 timeouts, right? I can't call them for you. But that's what you're supposed to coach your guys up at the end of the game. Now you're the laughing stock of the fucking league. Now every team in the league is watching tape of the final plays and telling them what their players what not to do, and telling their coaches what not to do.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thing is too now, that Hail Mary it's out there. It's going to be in the annals of both Commanders and Bears history forever now. Yep. It's not going to go anywhere. We're going to have to see this played over and over and over again, not just this week, but for years down the road.
Years. This is going to be an all-time game. Mm-hmm.
I know Bear Truth 9's talking about, the possibility of, would they move on from Flus and all that, and would it be a waste? I mean, at this point, you're wasting more time keeping an idiot in play. You could, maybe promote Waldron or Eric Washington or someone else to step in on the interim. Let's say if they went that route and try to salvage a season, because it seems like a lot of their guys, the underlings in terms of the command tree, are being held back from doing what they want to do. We saw it in the preseason. We saw Eric Washington take over the defense, and the defense looks night and day different from how it does now. We weren't seeing these soft zones where there's 4 guys standing around with a receiver in the middle, and they're all just staring at each other saying, I don't know what to do. I understand the concept of zone defense. You want to have a guy protect a certain area, but you also have to
carry the man.
Yeah, you have to be able to identify what weapons are on the field, right? And then you have to figure out, okay, where's the ball going to go to? I have to lock onto one person, and that's going to be my guy.
Yeah. You got to catch the man in your zone. When the man enters your zone, that's your man now. Now it's like man to man. You're right. You're right about that, Walt. Yeah, I know we talked about that in the chat a little bit, but I get what you're saying. Like, guys are just allowing players to run through the zone without carrying them through their zones. We're just allowing our guys to just run free. And that's not how it's supposed to be played. I don't know, but that's coaching too. That's coaching. Yeah. Like,
it's been 3 years of that. That's why I said, and that's why I posted last night on X saying the Matt Eberflus defensive logic is just have 4 guys come together in overlapping zones and stare at each other, and then maybe their collective mind power will cause the guy to drop the ball.
Yeah, man, it's sad.
That's what it seems like. And, I do want to answer Bear Truth 9's question. He said, if we won the game, what do you think the top headline, we'd be talking about today is just Bears pull out of a hard-fought game.
Yep.
That's it. I'm sure people would still be, ragging on exactly what happened yesterday. Caleb Williams was kind of shit through 3 quarters, but was able to turn it around and put us in a position to win, and we held it off. Our defense did what it was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would have been the defense would have been the heroes in this game, and Caleb would have been a hero as well for his fourth quarter comeback, leading them to a fourth quarter comeback. I mean, he had a terrible game, man, but the fourth quarter, like, I don't know what light switched for him, but he did everything he needed to do to get us the win. He even told the head coach. He even coached the head coach to, hey, bring these guys up. At the end, the coach didn't listen to him. So, I mean, Caleb did his thing. So,
yeah, and I think the Lions showed us yesterday that you don't need a quarterback to throw for 300 yards to score 50 points in a game.
That was ridiculous when I saw that stat line too. I was like 85 yards from the quarterback, and he scored 52 points. Know what that is? That if you see something working, you keep fucking doing it. If I can run the ball on you, I'm gonna run it down your damn throat. That's what you do. Like we need to learn from the Lions in that situation there, because like if something works, fuck it. Until they stop it, we're gonna keep doing it. That's what our identity is. When you stop this shit, we'll stop doing it.
Yeah, I mean the longest throw of the day was to Sam Laporta. It was 24 yards. That's it.
Wow.
Everything else was single digits.
Unbelievable. One more play I want to talk about though. Kevin Byard was extremely vocal. He didn't. I think this was a locker room conversation. Another guy who's come out, and all 4 of these guys are on the leadership committee, by the way, and all 4 of these guys are sick of the coaching, is what it seems like. They're all speaking out against coaching. So he says that he had a conversation with Matt Eberflus this morning because it didn't sit right with him, the final 2 plays of the game, and he didn't feel like they were in the correct defense, and he felt like there should have been a timeout called as well. And he says that Matt explained to him his philosophy, and they agreed to disagree. It's like he didn't agree with the play calls that Matt had. The defense that Matt Eberflus had called on the second to last play, I want to say, and then the last play as well. He also cleared some things up about the last play and said that Tariq Stevenson was supposed to be posting up number 85 who caught that pass. However, Hicks was supposed to be the last line of defense. So Hicks should have been back there as well. So Tariq and Hicks both should have been back in the end zone at that point in time. And both of those guys stepped up too far. Tariq jumped to the front, tips the pass, and Hicks is not back there either. So it's just a lack of fucking discipline, because guess what? Coaches didn't coach. Coach didn't settle them down. Didn't call the timeout and say, hey, you do your fucking job and don't do anything else. You do this, you do that, and that's all you do. That's what should have happened in that situation.
Yeah, and McFact is right here. Some teams fired their head coaches after 1 season. I mean, I think Flus also interviewed for the Browns coaching job, the one that Freddie Kitchens won. I think it was 2019.
He got fired right away.
Yeah, he went with 6-10 and got fired.
Yep.
Matt Eberflus was 11-47. I mean, at this point, man, I don't know what you're going to wait for. I mean,
I don't think they'll fire him in season, man. I think, and you know why? It's because of the situation with their agents, man. Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles, and Shane Waldron all have the same agent, which is fucking dumb to me. And that creates a situation where, the agent is in your ear like, hey, don't fire our client. He's our boy. So now, and they developed a relationship, a friendship over the past 3 years. So I think that he'll allow him to see the season out and maybe fire him then, but I don't think he's gonna fire him during the season.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if your GM is listening to an agent, then he shouldn't be the GM. Let's put it that way. Put it flat out. The agent's there to make money. That's his major concern. That's his lot in life. That's his livelihood. The GM is there to run the team. Yep. And if the head coach isn't doing a good job, it's the GM's job to step in and say, listen, man, shape up or ship out.
I agree with you, Walt. But
tell him, Walt. Shit, that's what I'm talking about, Walt.
They said that, but that's what was said when he hired Eberflus, is that their agent introduced them.
Because let's be real,
Armstrong.
Yeah, you had the chance to reset everything. You
Yep.
decided to go with a partial reset, getting rid of the offense, keeping Chris Morgan around for God knows what reason. I mean, that's already come back to bite you in the ass a few times this year. But
Yep.
the excuse was that Ryan Poles didn't hire Matt Eberflus. He was just the choice of the upper echelon, the McCaskies, the Ted Phillips, whoever was in the office at the time. You had a
Hmm.
chance to say, oh well, I can finally get the guy I want. I can get the head coach I want. I can get the quarterback I want. I can get the wide receiver I want, or whomever it was. We didn't know it was Rome at the time, but we knew it
Hmm.
was going to be Caleb Williams. But you chose not to. You
Right.
doubled down on the fact that this guy here just hasn't gotten it done. I mean, give him
Right.
give him a, give him a pass for the first year. Cool, whatever. I can even get behind that because you tore the roster down. But then you come into the next season with all this hype. You got Justin Fields, you got DJ Moore. You end up getting Montez. I mean, Montez Sweat was irrelevant at this point, but you start off the year 0-4, and you blow a
Hmm.
huge lead in week 4. Then you win a
Hmm.
couple of games, and you start losing games again, and then you basically fold like a wet paper, like a cheap suit in Green Bay in the final week of the season.
Hmm.
Right? You go out, you have Montez Sweat, you bring in a lot of guys, you have this big draft, you trade Justin Fields away, you look to reset, create a new era. We're supposed to be taking the North back and not giving it away, but you're still making the same mistakes.
Yep.
Right?
I think that I think the thing is the defense played well last year. So,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, the first year, I think that's just a wash year because he completely ripped the team apart. Last year, the offense didn't play well. So I understand why he gave Flus a second chance. I don't think that he deserved it either. I feel like the defense is going to be good regardless of who coaches it because you got good players. It's just that fucking simple. You invested draft picks, you invested uh, free agent capital, free agency dollars in the defense. So of course they're going to be good, man. And regardless of who coaches them, I know that Eberflus has been doing well with them, but that's not to say that another coach wouldn't do just as well. And it's evident in Eric Washington coming in and coaching this team and being a little bit more aggressive with them and also getting some great results from them.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, Ryan Poles should see that and be like, hey, we'll be all right without Flukes after this season. Like this defense is still going to be formidable, and they're still going to ball out.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm of the opinion now, and even back then, I was like, okay, Fluke's did enough to save his job. Let's see what he does. And
Yep.
I'm all for second chances, right? But when you're given
Mm-hmm.
that second chance and you don't actually adapt and change anything around, you somehow get worse. No, it's time to go, man. I'm not gonna sit around and because you don't want to fire somebody midseason. My job is the general manager. You're supposed to manage the team. If you want to be a scout, go somewhere else. It's not
Mm-hmm.
general scout manager or head scout. There's a whole nother person
Mm-hmm.
that does that. If you want to
Yep.
walk around and make the sexy picks, like we trade for Montez Sweat, great idea. Your offensive line is still jack shit. Do you do anything to do that?
Mm-hmm.
No, you bring in Coleman Shelton. Okay, middle of the road kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, but you also have guys like Connor Williams. The Washington center was available. Lloyd Cushenberry.
Yeah.
You could have spent that money, but you decided
Yeah.
to spend it on Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I thought Keenan Allen's a great guy. Nothing against him as a player, but that's $24 million you're tying up to another wide receiver who has an injury problem and had an injury problem.
For a single season too. You can only have access to them for a single season,
Mm-hmm.
like as well. So I didn't think it was a great idea either.
Yeah,
But
so it's like what's going on?
and he hasn't had made much of an impact on the team this year. So at this point in time, it's just looking like it wasn't a great move. It wasn't a great decision because we can't get the ball to him if our offensive line is allowing pressure up the middle every fucking play. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get to this last thing I wanted to talk about. I know we've been
Okay.
going for about an hour, and this Monday night game is about to jump in. And Larry Wanta, what he's talking about, suspending Tariq Stevenson. Everyone knows what Tariq Stevenson has done. It's all over the internet. It's the talk of sports TV right now, all over ESPN and NFL Network and everywhere else. How do you guys feel about suspending him for this play? I have my opinion about it. I want to hear what you guys think.
What do you think, Will?
I'm gonna be honest.
Or what discipline? If not suspend, wait a minute, Will. Before you say if not suspension, what discipline do you think he should receive, if any? If any.
I don't think he should receive any discipline, but I do think that at the end of the day, it was a coaching issue. If they'd have called a timeout, I think a lot of that would have been mitigated and alleviated. I would have brought in Rome Odunze because he has a much higher vertical than Elijah Hicks. And it's like, okay, yeah, he was taunting the fans and all that, but, it's like I would probably give him a verbal warning and, some internal discipline with the team. But as long as Gordon and Brisker are out, I hate to look at it from that perspective, but it's like you can't lose another key piece because we're in from my perspective, if we got to win these next 2 games going against the Packers. Yep. And I think Tyreek will play a keen hand in that, even though Terrell Smith played pretty well yesterday. Mm-hmm. But it's like, yeah, I would just give him a verbal discipline, verbal warning. It happened again. Now that's when I'm going to drop.
He cut out a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you feel about it, Walt? What do you think? Chat, you chime in too. Chat, let us know how you guys feel. Who was that? Wanton already let us know. Larry, was it Larry Wanton?
Yeah, Larry wants to suspend him.
You already let us know he wants him suspended. I can't be mad at that, but
yeah, I mean it's definitely an option. I just want to address Bear Truth 9 here and Shane Waldron. I understand what he's saying here. Is I think we've seen enough from Waldron that we need to get micromanaged by Flus to be successful. I feel like the offense is being held back by the micromanagement of Flus. I think it's the personally, I believe it's an opposite to that. It's not like Waldron's a guy that can't get the job done. We saw it in Seattle. You turn Geno Smith around. They're having their own problems too without him. But is Flus trying to stick his hand in too many cookie jars?
Yeah, I agree. I think Flus is doing a little bit too much with the offense, and he needs to just fall back because and it's evident because the offense looked the same way it did last year in a bunch of situations.
Yeah,
but
in terms of the discipline, Tyreek, I think definitely a fine, bare minimum. Possibly some censure on the team. Maybe it seems like he's made his apology in-house and outside, so you got to do that too. Suspending him though, I don't know if you have the ability to do so right now in terms just from a player standpoint. You're still out to Kyler Gordon, you're out Jaquan Brisker at the moment. We don't know if they're going to be back. Can you really warrant suspending him? And let's be real. If you suspend Tyreek Stevenson for being an idiot, then you got to suspend your head coach for being an idiot too after last game.
Exactly. Let there be accountability all around. Yeah. Where's the other accountability?
Yeah, it got to be full blown accountability because I keep my head on a swivel, so I know that's gonna be the last play of the game. So I'm gonna call timeout just to get everybody set up. Like to me, I don't know. That's common sense though. Like there's no way I'll allow that last play to happen without calling a timeout, getting the troops organized, making sure everybody identify who they gonna position themselves up against. Like it was just so discombobulated to the point where, it starts at the top.
Yeah,
I agree. Black Diamond, I'm surprised you saying 1 game suspension, brother. So I agree with both of you, man. I don't think that this warrants a 1 game suspension given. All right. Yeah, it was a bonehead play, man. All right. We all know it cost us the game. It cost us a game, but it didn't have to cost us a game because like Will said, there should have been a timeout called anyway. Someone should have noticed him doing that and called the timeout, or a timeout should have been called prior to him even, jarring with the fans. But there should be some accountability. I agree with Walt. A fine is definitely, imminent, but I feel like a suspension not only hurts Tyreek, it hurts the entire team. Mm-hmm. And this is a bottom line business too, man. It hurts our chances of making the playoffs. There's cash implications to that. But the team gets more money if they make the playoffs. The players get more money if they make the playoffs. So suspending him, I feel like hurts the entire team. What you do is you talk to him, you find him, and you motivate him to make up for that play the rest of this year. And make him go out of his mind at this point in time. Like, dude, you got to step it up every game. Like, I need impact plays from you every game now. Like, you have to make up for this the entire game and the rest of your career. I think he's going to learn from this. He's only a second-year player. He plays with this passion, this aggressive passion the entire game. But you have to know when to hone that in. And I'm not saying that he was right for doing it, but man, it was completely a bonehead play. But to suspend him is only going to hurt the team, especially given that we are already dealing with injuries. We suspend him this game. Terrell Smith is not a reliable player as far as his health goes. So if he gets hurt within that game, then we're down to with our fourth cornerback in the game at that point in time, and we end up losing the game because we decided to suspend the player to prove a point. Like I don't agree with that. I'm not down for that. That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think Bear Truth had a very good idea. It's like keep him active, but he plays second fiddle.
Second string.
Yeah, so it's kind of best of both worlds.
Suspend him a series or something, yeah.
Yeah, you still find him, you still do all that, but instead of sitting him down, sending him home for the week, because we've seen players get into legit fights on the field, and all they get is a $10,000 fine from the NFL.
Yep.
Maybe a slap on the wrist from the team afterwards, but they're there next week. So, what kind of message are you sending to the team just by that? I mean, I understand Stevenson shouldn't have done it. It was an idiotic thing to do. No one is debating that, but
I definitely feel like he'll learn from this. I agree. Yeah. I feel like he's going to learn from this. He's going to be better because his future is going to be better because of this. And he's a hell of a player, man. Before that, I think he made a lot of good plays. Gary Terry put it on him, of course, and beat him on a play. But other than that, he stopped the touchdown. I think he stopped 2 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. He prevented. So, he had a decent game, man. And just a few weeks before this, he was the NFC defensive player of the week. So let's not act like he's not one of those dudes out there. We wouldn't just we can afford to just suspend him and we can just win without him. No, he's a big part of what we do on defense. He helps our defense out a lot. We got Jalen Johnson on one side and he holds it down on his side of the field. He gets more targets than anyone else on the team every game. So him getting beat by Scary Terry for 60 yards, that's going to happen every now and then. He's getting targeted 75% of the time, when he's out there. So we just got to be mindful of that. He's a hell of a player. I like that he took accountability. He apologized immediately. He apologized to the team. He went public with it. He didn't say that he wasn't doing something because he could have easily deflected and say, hey, I thought this. Well, he could have easily deflected a little bit, but he didn't do that. So I want to appreciate that, man, and I just want to move on from it. I think the players have all said the same thing. They all got his back in this manner. It's messed up that it happened, but again, I'm with Will. I'm with Walt. We should have just called the timeout before that play even occurred. So point blank period.
Should have, but didn't. It's whatever at this point. The game's over. You can't change it. It's in the history books. You can only move forward at this point and get better.
Right. So I'm not going to allow that play to beat us twice. You know what I'm saying? To make us lose the second game. That's how I feel about it. Exactly. Any questions from the chat before we get out of here? Shout out to everybody in the chat for rocking with us. Black Diamond, Larry Wonton, the Notch.
Yeah, I got the Najee. Mikey's here to say, even Mikey agreed
Mikey.
suspension's a bad idea to me. Losing a starting spot for half the game has a bigger impact. It does.
Yep.
Because you're still there, you're dressed up, you're ready to go, but you're sitting on the bench.
Yep.
You're so close to the action you can taste it, but you can't get there. And that'll motivate you to be better.
Yep.
Probably more so than the animosity you're going to get from being suspended.
Mm-hmm.
That might cause
Yeah.
even more problems. And
Exactly.
let's look at another character. Look at Rashid Rice this offseason. All those legal issues, running from the
Mm-hmm.
cops to the point where they have to go find him.
Mm-hmm.
And does Kansas City do anything? Nope.
Nope.
They're just like,
not a thing.
whatever.
They didn't suspend him. His mama out here doing crazy stuff. The boy mama out here doing crazy stuff. There, you're absolutely right. That's a great point, Walt. That's a great point. Kansas City decided to do absolutely nothing because they needed him to win games. The bottom line mattered more to them. Which so, hey, they trying to win. They trying to three-peat right now. And it's unfortunate what happened to him. He went and got injured, and I saw people talking about that's his karma. But hey, the team decided whatever they did, it was internal. We didn't know about it. I'm sure they did something. They talked to him, but hey, that's the decision. That I don't think that what Tariq Stevens did was as egregious as what what's his name, the wide receiver Kansas City did during the offseason. So, shout out to everybody in the chat again. The Notch, Jigsaw, Bear Truth 9, Relentless Mikey, Larry Wonton.
Whole gang. Yeah, not just talking about the Monsters of the Gridiron Fantasy League here. The Swift is going down in week 9.
Swift is going down. Okay.
I think you and I played each other this week, right, Samo?
Yeah, I lost, man. I lost a nail biter. I should have started. I think I messed up my starters, man. I do this every year, where I mix my starters up. So
well, we both had a couple of big misses. Like I know you had Josh Jacobs on the bench. I had
Josh Jacobs. That's
Josh Downs
yep.
from Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm. It was a high scoring game too. I didn't even look at it until this morning because I didn't want to see. I lost both of my leagues too. I lost my other league. I picked up Caleb, thinking that he would have a big game, going home. I had a bye week for my quarterback, so I'm like, I'm gonna pick up Caleb. End up losing that game by 5 too. So I'm like, damn it. So
yeah,
but, hey, it is what it is.
We go on to next week.
On to next week. Hey, you win some, you lose some. Mm-hmm. Hey man, let's move on from this game, guys. Hopefully next week it will be a lot better. And going to Arizona, the guys should be motivated. Hopefully the leadership council that we have, I think all those guys are motivated. We're gonna coach the coaches a little bit this week, get them ready for this next game, man. Hey, all we can do is pray and hope that we have a better outcome next week.
Now we're in Arizona next week, or are they here in Chicago?
In Arizona.
Okay.
Yep. So,
well, I mean, hey, we get to see Roma Dunze and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the field next week. So
yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
That's gonna be fun to watch. I think what's his name? Darius Robinson is back from being hurt.
Yep. So
you're gonna see a couple good guys on there. Let's see how the rest of the week plays out injury wise. We got Bill Murray, Tev, Sweat, the whole gang there dealing with something. I think we'll find out a little more tomorrow or Wednesday with the first report.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But, I just want to shout out everyone in the chat. Naj, Jigsaw, Larry, Mikey, Will Wright showed up for a minute, and Black Diamond and Bear Truth, and everyone else that's watching here that hasn't made any comments. I'm glad you all showed up tonight. It was definitely going to be an interesting one considering what happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Terry wanted to pass on his regards. He wasn't able to make it tonight. He was also in Washington too for the game. He came back, but he's ready to go on to Arizona. So just wanted to pass that on to everybody. He'll be back next time we're here. And yeah, I think Monday Night Football is well underway. So we do want to let you guys go watch that or do whatever you need to do. So, Will,
Yep.
any last words, man?
Hey, get ready for Arizona, baby. We're gonna rebound this week.
Yes,
Exactly.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And in the words of Larry Weinstein, let's turn the page on this past week. Let's move on, baby.
Let's go.
We're
I said
gonna
what's
keep
done. What's
keep
done is
claws,
done.
keep our claws up. Yeah, we'll keep our claws, put our claws back up. We're gonna keep bearing down, baby.
Exactly. But
Let's
yeah,
go.
you know what, guys. Again, shout out to everyone. Thanks for showing up tonight. Just remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we're back. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your night. And again, just claws up. All right, guys, let's get out of here. You all have a good night.
Squad up.
Good night.